Hi everyone! Welcome back to Keeping Up with the Calligraphers. Almost didn't know how to say our name. This is Alex with Signs of Our Lives here with...
This is Hannah with now Tallymark Studio.
Ooh! Okay, we already got our first big announcement out of the way because I feel like
there.
5 seconds ago Hannah was like, I have things to say and announce. Okay, so is that one of the announcements?
That's one of the big announcements. As of this podcast being released, I will have launched my new brand, business name, etc. I have shifted from Tallymark Calligraphy to Tallymark Studio, which is actually like an excellent lead-in into what we're talking about today.
Wait, that's so true.
Oh, so it's just kind of a happy accident with that. But yeah, launched the brand, super excited. Been working on it for a very long time, and finally everything came together and we've launched Tallymark Studio. I wanted to expand my services a little, so I just wanted to change the name so that we could give the brand like room to grow and room to like do all the things that I like doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I feel like honored that you're sharing it here. Amazing. Okay, so for any of you who are new here, to either Keeping Up with the Calligraphers or this sub-series, Hannah and I do this little sub-series in Keeping Up with the Calligraphers, a podcast for event artists that are trying to improve their skills, their workflow, their business models, etc. And we're doing a little hot takes series where we talk about things related to event calligraphy, event art, event things, but aren't specifically those things, right? Like we're not really educating you on stuff.
Chatting about the industry, chatting about topics, things that our people are talking about.
100%, yeah. So it's a fun mini series. The goal is to start conversations, bring different perspectives to the table, do it in a loving way. And as always, there's no one way to live your life or to run your business. And that's why we're chatting, you know? Oh my God, I want to say different strokes for different folks, but I'm like, is that like, how old am I? I don't know. I just had like a 7-year-old go through my body.
I love it.
I guess I've been hanging out with old people. I don't know. That was anyways. Hannah, what have you been up to other than this launch? I feel like you've been up to a lot.
I've been up to everything. Here we are, endish of April. March was crazy. Beginning of April was crazy. Work-wise, it was a lot of commissions. I was doing a ton of commissions, a lot of stuff in-house, place cards, letters, wedding specials.
Bedazzling?
Bedazzling. I've done some bedazzling. Don't recommend it. Or at least like charge $1 million for it. It takes so long. And so a lot of in-studio stuff, which I like because I get to do it on my own time and kind of like chill and just throw some TV on and do whatever. So for me, that's a good flow. It just makes it busy. Also trying to get some murals going. I've got one that is going up shortly. A friend of mine has some space and she's looking to put some paint on it. So
beautify it a little bit.
Whatever I wanted. And so it's kind of like this is like a portfolio building opportunity, which I'm super stoked on. I get to do whatever I want, my style, my colors, whatever. So that'll be a fun learning opportunity and thing. Life business wise, launching the new brand, launched the new brand. Super excited about that. Excited for what's going to come from it. The big reason of getting it started is because your girl is relocating to the East Coast. Which is my other big news that by this time I will have already announced. My husband and I have purchased a house and we are moving to Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh my God, wait, you like purchased.
We bought a house.
Oh my God, I was literally gonna be like, wait, okay, we're in Baltimore, because for anyone who doesn't know, I used to live in Baltimore as well as on the outskirts of Baltimore for 10 years. So where?
Let's say for my East Coast Baltimore people, I'll be living kind of in the Hamilton region. It's like Northeast Baltimore. Yeah, we're super excited. We found a house that's within our budget in a great neighborhood. We're really excited. Trying to be cool. That's where my family's from. I'm from Baltimore City. And so we are moving back to be closer to my family. I'll put down a little bit more sturdy roots, I guess. Be a little bit more in one place for a long time. Elijah and I have both been moving houses like every 2 years since we were 18. So we're very ready to be in one place for a little while, be closer to family. And for me, like, I miss the East Coast so much. Like, Being in Vegas, I am a 4-hour drive, 4 to 6 hour drive from anywhere interesting. Like Phoenix, LA, San Diego, all of them within like 4 to 6 hours, which is a long way. But like being in Baltimore, I am like an hour to 2 hour train ride to 3 major cities. So like, wait to be out there.
DC, Baltimore, Philly.
New York is about 3-hour train ride, which is super close. So
everything on the East Coast is like clustered together. And I feel like that's such a huge difference from East Coast versus West Coast.
I grew up in Maryland, Baltimore, like South Central PA. I went to school in Philly. I went to grad school in Boston. But like all of that's like close-ish. And everyone out here like can't like wrap around their brains that like you drive 6 hours through like 5 different states. Meanwhile, I mean, my husband's from Texas and he's like, oh, you're still in Texas in 6 hours. Like
100%.
10 hours later, maybe you're in like Arkansas, but like
maybe you've made it to a different state.
There's these states are huge. So so there's, I mean, obviously so much going on. We will not be moving until June. So we still have quite a bit of time to kind of like wrap up things here, start making connections out on the East Coast. I'm still going to be bi-coastal. So I'm still picking up work here in Vegas. There's quite a few like really busy seasons here in Vegas. Like we've got F1 here. The holidays are super busy. It's just like a very concentrated area. So there's a lot of opportunity for me to come out, stay for a couple days, stay for a week, do a bunch of work and fly back. So for anyone looking for a calligrapher in Las Vegas, Baltimore, DC, Philly, Tyler Mark Studio. Here we are.
I have so many people I want to connect you with. It's wild.
Wait, let's go.
I need to just like send you my list of everyone I love. Because I love that's where I started my business was in Baltimore. So that's where I'm like, I feel like that's where I learned like community over competition and that whole mindset. I mean, Natalie Frank, who's, started Rising Tide Society for anyone who's interested in this random story. She was from Annapolis in Maryland. Yeah, it kind of started
out there. I mean, the artist community out there is unreal. We made some good friends with some artists out there last summer, which was kind of like a huge catalyst to us being like, okay, end of 2025, we're going to move. It happened way faster than we expected. We were moving like June to October. And we found a house and we were like, I guess we're moving. So this is happening. So yeah, everything is official and happening. And I feel like I can officially celebrate now and start like moving forward. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have going on.
Oh my God. That's it. No big. Just moving everything and changing your business model. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not at all.
I mean, we could probably do like a whole thing on that, right? Of like
oh my God,
moving your business to a new city.
Definitely.
Done it multiple times. It's no easy feat, but you're going to kill it. I wanted to be bi-coastal. It never happened for me.
Yeah, because
it's really hard. I also don't like the East Coast as much as you do. I'm not a weather girly.
Well, I mean, it's hard. I mean, being in San Diego, that's amazing. Like, but being in Vegas, it's either like right now it's beautiful, but in 2 weeks it's going to be 110. So like, it's terrible. I just want like a change of seasons.
Valid. I think, desert is definitely different because like I love Palm Springs. I love hanging out there, but like don't catch me there in the summer.
No, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's hot and it's dry. I miss the trees.
Amazing. I'm so pumped that we learned about this.
What a start.
You heard it here first. Yeah, what a start. So today we're talking about what you we buried the lead a little bit when you were like, this is what the episode is going to be. So the episode today, Alex here, I was painting a box, a utility box in my community recently. And I was like, you know what we should talk about? And it took, oh my God, I don't even remember what I started with. Oh,
I think it was like doing murals gets you live event jobs. And I'm like, yeah, that's good advice. I feel like there's something else here that we need to like, dive into a little bit more. And so between like a massive back and forth of like gathering our thoughts, like herding cats or something, we figured
That's my brain, actually. That's a great analogy for what happens in my brain. You're like, I sent you this like video of this like, what is it? Like this groundhog trying to catch all these marbles at the same time.
Wait. What about, And
we'll figure it out.
And it was great. And it was perfect. And we nailed it. And we're like, okay, don't say anything else.
Yeah, we're going to just end there. Okay, so we keep burying the lead. Well, I keep burying the lead. Is basically we want to talk today about, we finally got to the point of stop niching is the hot take. The hot take today is stop fucking niching.
Stop niching.
Stop giving that fucking advice. I'm sick of it. I hate it. I think it's silly. And so that's my hot take for today. But I feel like I've been talking too much. So I kind of want to hear if you, I guess, agree versus disagree and any thoughts you have on it.
I think like the blanket advice of like to run your business, to start your business, etc., you need to niche is just bad advice. I do think that there is a time and place. Like when I was thinking about like the phases of my business and from when I started to the middle to where I am now and where I'm headed, there was a time and place for like niching into something. And it's kind of like right smack dab in the middle. Generally, I agree that we shouldn't be niching. Like stop like just doing one thing. Business models in general, having multiple streams of income is safe, stable, and just like a good business sense. So stop just doing one thing. But like for me, like when I first started my business, I was like, I want to do calligraphy. But like, what does that mean? That could be 100 different things. It could be an Etsy shop. It could be live events. It could be engraving. It could be commissions. It could be weddings. It could be stationery, like all of these kinds of things. So when I was first starting, I did everything because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started doing like just about everything. I will say it does make it hard for marketing because people don't quite know how to find you because you're like, I do everything. But it does help you figure out what you want to do. So I'm here for that. Don't niche when you first start. Figure out what you want to do. Figure out what like lights you up. Figure out what is like available in your area. Like maybe there's a lot of like stationers. So maybe you should go the more live calligraphy or vice versa. And that's really helpful. Once you figure that out, I do think that there is a place for niching to kind of get that clientele, get your name moving on Google, on social media, into kind of like a semi-niche space of like, here's this thing that I do from a marketing perspective. I do think though, throughout all of this, be open to other ideas that you're like into. And once that keeps going, like, so where I am, like, I'm kind of in a space where I'm like, I've been doing the same thing for a little while. It's running pretty smoothly. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's expand. Let's do a little bit more. This is too easy. I would say, is that a motto for like self-employed, like, owners? It's too easy. Do more, I think it is. So I was just feeling like, I just feel like I'm doing this one thing and I want to do a little bit more. So I started adding services like doing murals and everything. So now this is a little bit more like I'm expanding, hence the name change into Tallymark Studio, being able to do more stuff. But no, I think there's a time and place for niching, but generally I think as artists, we should just be open to everything.
Yeah.
Because it creates networking opportunities, which I think is kind of like the crux of our argument of like, be open to any sort of work because it connects you with people who either need your services, preferred services or other services, or knows somebody who wants or needs your services. And I think if someone's like, hey, could you paint this utility box? And you're like, nope, I don't do that. And now this person's like, oh, well, Alex doesn't do stuff, so I'm going to connect with somebody else. And turns out they need live calligraphy in a couple of weeks or whatever it is. And so it's helpful.
Okay, I feel like you said a lot of things. I tried to write them down as you were going, so I'm going to try to hit them.
Go for it.
But I might have not gotten all of them, so feel free to...
I did go on like a really long rant. I didn't really know where to start. I was like, it's coming out, sorry.
It's coming out. Okay, so I think you made a lot of really good points about why not to niche. One of them being streams of income, which I think was my original thought. Like, it was like, I'm doing this box. I want to do murals. I want to do whatever with businesses because it is like, for me, a way to add new skills, to practice like different things, right? Like I have done live murals at events. So that's like, it's technically kind of connected to events, right? Because I still have to have that like workflow, that efficiency, that personal touch, and that like personality, I guess was where I was going with that, of like talking to people, right? And having that sort of thing. And then I was thinking, like, I'm just going to go through my whole stream of consciousness here. Okay. And then I was thinking, I have a client who they had booked me for an on-site mural for an event. And then they've seen so much about how I can do engraving and other sort of things that they're also booking me for engraving as well as another mural for this year's summit. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, one thing could lead to more thing, and it helps you kind of do that like upsell thing of you're gonna be there all day, right? Like, or for part of the day, might as well add this additional thing, and then you don't have to spend all that time getting another client, marketing yourself for another client, because you can work with the client that you already have to be like, okay, what else do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was kind of where I was going with the like, don't forget niche, because you can get multiple streams of income literally from like the same exact people.
Exactly, from the same client.
Yeah. And whether that's even like your corporate clients, right? Like say you're working, I don't know why American Express was the first thing that came to mind. I've literally never even worked with them. But I was like, say you're working with them and like, you know, they're having a conference in one city and they want to bring you to another one, but they don't want to do the same activation. They're going to be like, hey, well, we really liked
what else do you do?
Yeah, the interactions you had here, let's bring you here. And so that's kind of where my brain was at with all of this. Is like one thing can lead to the other.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing you said was the time and place, which I also agree with. When you first start out, and someone actually asked us in our DMs, we were like kind of surveying our community of like, hey, what do you want to hear about next? And we opened it up for like, you know, we put in a bunch of topics, but then we left it open as well. And someone wrote, where do I start? I have so many ideas.
Great. All of them.
All of them. Yeah. I think it's kind of like you gotta do things.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a quote about it. Like, inaction breeds something. It's like action breeds confidence. Maybe. You're like, I don't fucking know.
Makes sense. I've never heard this before, but I believe you.
No, but it's like action breeds confidence. It's probably a fucking Dale Carnegie quote or something like that. But are you gonna look it up right now?
I'm gonna look it up. So carry on if I find it.
Carry on. But basically, just like when you're like, and my thing is always like, do the thing, try it, see how it feels in your body, see how it feels in your brain, see if you're like connecting with the art or the medium or whatever it might be, right? And so I think like you don't know what you're gonna like sometimes until you're literally doing it. I thought I would love like those freaking like mink foiling things with the way back. I mean, I know people are still doing it. For me, it's like way back in the day, there was this like mink foiling machine where you like printed ink on paper and then you could put foil on top of it and it would go through and it would heat it. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to do all these prints. It's going to be so cool. And then I was like,
I hate this.
Yeah. And so it's like things like that where sometimes you just got to kind of figure it out. And like watercolor, I didn't really love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all trial and error when you first start. And like you're saying, like, and a lot of it is like, oh, I see a lot of people doing this. It looks lucrative or it looks like there's a lot of stuff, but maybe your area isn't as lucrative in that space or like, you know, it's really saturated. So maybe let's try this other thing that you like. And so there's just like so much, like I hate having inventory in my house. I hate it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I hate keeping things in my studio. I hate like having a project that has a lot of inventory, even when it's like getting picked up in a couple of days. Like I just hate having that around. And so like I have really limited this kinds of stuff that I'm doing for weddings, that I'm doing for like, I've just like really pared it down to like, I'm only keeping this in my house for 2 weeks, or, you know, everything gets done on site or whatever it is. But you don't find that out until you're doing it. Like there was a time where I was like, why do I have all this stuff over here? Like I need to stop doing stuff that has inventory. And you don't know it until you do it. And so you just have to, if you have a lot of ideas, try all your ideas, try them a bunch of times, try them more than once, and figure out what works for you.
Yeah. Did you find the quote?
I did. And it is a Dale Carnegie quote, which I was losing my mind over. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
Simple, but relevant.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone else better said something similar before or after him, but that's the one that's in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's like you're not going to know what makes you feel confident in your skills and your business and whatever until you start doing it. And if you're not doing it, you're like, I'm not going to be very good at that, or I'm not going to like that. Turns out you might. Gotta give it
100%. Another thing you said, like limiting yourself. That was another thing you mentioned. I'm trying to think back to exactly what you said.
That you should limit yourself or you shouldn't limit yourself?
I think you shouldn't limit yourself.
Yeah,
I think when you niche, like if you're like, I'm only going to offer pointed pen calligraphy, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you're like, I'm only going to do paper. I'm only going to do this, right?
Yeah. You limit yourself to a specific job set. Like,
yeah. And then you're losing in my opinion, you're losing jobs. I mean, if that works for you and you can make a business model out of one stream of income,
by all means.
Incredible. I just know for me, having lost most of my income in 2020 from relying on businesses with signage and relying on brands to have events, I lost it all. I went back to teaching, you know?
Yeah. I had a stable income and I lost it. And so like I had a job and we were furloughed because entertainment was gone for a year and a half. And so then I was like, oh, I can't trust anything. Everyone needs multiple streams of income here.
Yeah. What's a 5-year plan? I don't know. No, I feel that though, because like even with like I started doing workshops and stuff like that, and I was like, thank God I had some workshops that I like switched from doing in person to virtually, and I was like, thank goodness I have like a little bit to like get by. And so I think, you know, that's kind of also a little bit important to notice like where, and again, it definitely 100% depends where you are in your business and what opportunities are out there. Like we're not negating the privileges of being this far into our businesses or like in our areas where there's tons of events and all that stuff where we can kind of be a little bit more choosy. But I would say, yeah, don't like limit yourself to just one thing.
And find what your needs too. Like in that journey, like you start with a lot of stuff that you see that's happening already, but as that happens, you're like, wait a minute, I figured out this cool thing that my area needs and no one's doing. And a lot of times that you don't even know that exists until you start just doing stuff. Like it's just about, I mean, that just is like the creative journey in general. Things don't kind of come about until you just start putting pen to paper and you start like actually doing things. Yeah, don't limit yourself to just a couple things.
And I would say, like, the counter argument to this is to not confuse people, right? And I think that's where, you know, we're talking about this. Like, there's nuance to that.
Yeah.
Like, when you're starting out, you're gonna be confusing. You just are.
Oh my gosh, yes. You don't know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, as a business owner, when you're first starting out, like, you don't even know. You can do all of the, like, brand identity, you know, ideal client avatar workshop stuff that you want, but until you're like well in it, you have no idea what your business is or who you are as a business owner or what your services really are, who your client really is. Like you can't do that without being in business for a while. So
I do always think, and maybe like I don't know if this is just me as like a slow learner or like the type of processor I am with things, but yeah, I feel like you have to like build up a certain momentum or a certain client list or a certain, like thing before you're kind of like able to be like, okay, like now I know what I'm doing.
There's no way that you can fully prepare for who you are. And I don't think it has anything to do with like a slow learner or like even just like processing things differently. Of course, everyone does that differently, but I think that is kind of a universal thing. Like unless you're just going in for like, you know, you're a car wash place and you're running a car wash and that's what you do. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, you're like maybe, rinsing and repeating a certain
exactly. Maybe that like you don't really grow into your identity or whatever. But when it comes to like a creative business or being like self-employed, like solopreneur kind of stuff, like there's no way that you're just like coming right out of the gate being like, this is who I am. And then you stay like that forever. Like,
yeah. And I think like evidence to that is you see so many people online doing brand refreshes. You see so many people quote unquote pivoting. I mean, as much as we've overused that word the past 5 years, like all of us have pivoted. All of us have, you know, like changed our business model or changed our business branding or changed our brand voice or whatever it might be, right? Because life, you learn, you do better. So I think like there's so much evidence that shows that, you know, pivoting is okay. It's okay to change. It's okay to grow. And it's okay to say, like, this doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's a really big one. I think a lot of people are really scared to be like, oh my God, people are going to think I'm like a failure if I like change and do this thing.
Totally.
I personally don't believe that. I think that limits you.
I think it's a sign of growth and change. And I've always, I mean, since college, like I've been the kind of person that's like, I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, I've been teaching at this school for 30 years. Like that's literally never going to be. I'm going to have like 8 careers in life. Like I'm going to be constantly changing. And I think that I think that's good. I think we should like hold on to and like being able to change and adjust and be like, hey, I really like this thing. And a couple of years being like, you know what, I don't really like it anymore. And that being totally fine.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, like, particularly when you're starting out, like, yeah, it's confusing if you're like, hey, I do all these things. But I also think it gives you space to grow and really figure out what you like to do instead of pigeonholing yourself into this one thing. And then it feels like a big deal when you change. It's like, man, I really didn't want to pigeonhole myself into stationery right away. And now it feels like a whole thing. I feel like I'm trapped in it. And so I think it just gives you space to grow and change and figure out what you like to do and also serve your clients better. Like it helps you align you with people who want your services and that you want to be working with, and just opens up things way more.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And actually reminded me of this talk that I have referred to a lot in my brain, but also just like in my conversations with people over the years, is like Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Big Magic. She had this talk and it was on Soul Sunday, like one of those Oprah like talks where she was on stage. It's kind of like a TED talk, but it's like more soulful, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. But she had this thing about how in a lot of her books, she wrote about people having a passion, you know, and I think that's kind of what you're referring to of like doing something for 30 years, right? Like my husband's the total opposite of me. Like he's that person he's literally going to be in his job for 30 years. Like he is
right.
I have this passion and I'm doing it and I'm following this road. But I think especially in today's economy, today's society, the way that like our system is set up, you know, I think it's so much more okay now to be what she would call a curious butterfly. She said, like, there's jackhammers and there's butterflies. The jackhammers are the people with, like, I always wanted to be a writer and this is what I want to do. And, you know, that's their life passion. And I think that's totally okay. But, like, I think there's a lot more of us who are more like me and you, who are the curious butterflies of, like, they're, you know, taking one pollen from one flower to another one. And that actually, I think we've talked about this before, but like it actually creates like diversity in thought and like diversity in how things are done, because you're taking skills that you learned in, I don't know, real estate, and you took it into nursing, and you took the skills you learned from nursing and took it to artistry, you know, like whatever that is. So I think, you know, that's another reason not to niche yourself, because when you do learn new things, you're actually like exposing yourself to new forms of thought and new ways of doing something, even if it's like the tiniest little thing, right? Like I learned that pouncing, like from muraling, when you're doing the little like stencil thing, the pouncing is actually like a quilting tool.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
I just recently got that ink mixing tool, like for tattoo artists.
Ooh.
And I was like, this is brilliant. But if you try to find it, you literally search in tattoo ink stirrer. And then it pops up. It's the only thing that you can search for. And I'm just like, I just love, it's like, you know, it goes back to that mixing knowledges and like not pigeonholing yourself to this one thing to be able to like use skills and knowledge for other things.
I would just say, I don't know any more arguments for the contrary for why you shouldn't.
Well, I think, I mean, to that point of saying it's confusing, to expand on that a little bit, it can be difficult to market yourself for many different things. So if you're trying to like push your SEO for like 3 or 4 different things under the same platform, it doesn't like push your website or your socials or whatever quite as much as it probably would if you were just under like 1 or 2 things. So it can limit that way. But I think the way around that is to push like your main service, but then like
have an umbrella.
Like, yeah, exactly. So like I did that a lot, like with murals, and the reason that like I stepped into them a little bit more fully, or like trying to do that more fully, is I would push my calligraphy, live calligraphy, and then I would have a ton of people that would be like, hey, do you do windows? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't market them. I don't like have it anywhere posted that I'm like, hey, hire me for a window mural. But I do them. And so then I just started doing that more and more. And then once you start to see people being like, somebody told me that you did this, would you do this for me? And it just, that's how I started to expand a little bit into my services. And so I think that that is kind of the way around it, of like, in that time and place for niching, when you're trying to just get your name out there a little bit more, maybe focus on one or two services, but be open to whatever comes your way. Like, always open a door, see what's there, make a connection, and then expand into that if you want to.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I think that's like a wrap.
We nailed it. Stop niching, guys. Don't listen to
the business bros.
The business bros got it wrong.
They got it wrong. Okay, amazing. Well, I think that's it. If anyone has any ideas for the contrary, why you should really niche other than really, honing in on your messaging, which of course is great for you business wise. Yeah, I think just as a human, as an artist, we got to be creative. We got to let ourselves fly.
Agree.
Fly.
Pollinate all those flowers. Fly around.
All right. Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for keeping up. Hope you enjoyed this a little bit chaotic episode, but kind of fun.
I'm into it though.
Yeah, me too.
It was fun. It was all vibes today.
All vibes. I'm excited for your move. Okay, well, congrats to Hannah. Yay. If you want to find us on Instagram for the podcast, it's Keeping Up with the Calligs. For Alex, it's at Signs of Our Lives.
And at Tallymark Studio for me, Hannah.
Did you already change your Instagram?
Yes, it's done.
Amazing. Okay, well, I'm very excited for it. And thanks so much for keeping up. Bye.
See you.